Stop needing people to feel complete. Stop seeking outside approval as if it were oxygen. There is a deep and abiding power in realizing that your essence, your spirit, your very soul is enough. You have been given life not to be the shadow of another, not to mold yourself into the comfort of someone else's design, but to rise in the fullness of your own being. So often, we wander through life with our hands outstretched, grasping at acceptance, at affection, at validation. We forget that the most profound love we will ever experience is the love we cultivate within ourselves. It is not arrogance to believe in your worth. It is survival. It is not selfish to nurture your soul. It is necessary. There is a silence that many fear, a quiet that seems lonely, a stillness that threatens to confront us with the truths we have long avoided. But it is in this silence that the seeds of true strength are planted. When the clamor of the world falls away, when the voices demanding that you be more, do more, and give more recede, you are left with the raw material of your own being. And in that rawness, in that stillness, you discover that you are already whole. You do not need to be completed by the smiles or the attention of others, by the fleeting validation of a nod or a word. You are sufficient. You have always been sufficient. It is easy to mistake dependence for intimacy, to confuse the comfort of someone's presence with the fulfillment of your soul. But true connection is not built on need. True connection is a meeting of full, vibrant selves, two people who are already complete, who bring their wholeness to the table, and, in doing so, create beauty together. If you enter into relationships from a place of lack, if you seek someone to fill a void that only you can fill, you will find only disappointment. You will discover that no human hand can press the emptiness from your heart, no tender gaze can mend the fractures that reside there. Only you, only your courage, only your willingness to sit with yourself, to face yourself, to honor the life that beats inside you, can complete the circle of your being. Build yourself in silence. Learn the art of being alone without feeling lonely. Learn the music of your own heartbeat, the cadence of your own breath. Spend hours in reflection, in thought, in the quiet creation of the life that belongs to you. In the silence, you begin to understand that your voice matters, that your desires matter, that your dreams deserve space to grow. Too often, we rush to fill our hours with chatter, with distraction, with noise, because we are afraid of the echoes of our own thoughts. But the echoes are sacred. They are the whispers of your soul, the compass pointing you toward authenticity. Do not fear the faces that will not understand, the hands that will not hold, the hearts that will not remain. Do not waste your spirit trying to win the approval of those who cannot see your worth. You were born luminous, and if someone cannot see your light, it is their blindness, not your shadow. There is a dignity in self-possession, a quiet majesty in knowing that your value is inherent, unshakable, not contingent upon the fleeting opinions of the world. Let them walk away if they cannot honor your fullness. Let them leave if they cannot hold your truth. You are building something eternal in yourself, something that cannot be diminished by absence or rejection. The journey inward is not easy. It demands courage, patience, and an unwavering willingness to face the parts of yourself that you have hidden, denied, or neglected. It asks you to confront the fears that have whispered in the dark, the insecurities that have clung like shadows to your every step. But in facing them, in naming them, in holding them tenderly and firmly at the same time, you discover freedom. You discover that the fears do not define you, that the insecurities are not stronger than the truth of your being. You discover that you can stand alone and still flourish, that solitude can be a garden in which your spirit blooms without the interference of judgment or expectation. There will be times when the world presses in, when the voices of those who seek to diminish your confidence grow loud. There will be moments when the absence of approval feels like a void. But it is precisely in those moments that you must anchor yourself in your own presence, in the unshakable knowledge that you are enough. You must turn inward and listen to the heartbeat that has carried you through every storm, every disappointment, every heartbreak. That heartbeat is your truth. That heartbeat is your proof. That heartbeat is your companion, your teacher, your unwavering friend. The act of building yourself in silence is also an act of rebellion. It is a refusal to be shaped by the expectations of others. It is a declaration that your worth does not require external consent. The world will try to measure you by its own standards, by beauty, by wealth, by influence, by conformity. But you, in your quiet solitude, are creating a life measured by authenticity, integrity, and self-respect. You are constructing a foundation so strong that the storms of judgment cannot shake it, the winds of rejection cannot topple it. And when you finally step back into the noise of the world, you do so unshaken, unafraid, radiant with the knowledge that you are whole on your own. There is a sacredness in the journey of self-building. It is a pilgrimage not to a distant land, but to the landscape of your own soul. It asks you to honor your gifts, to recognize your talents, to nurture your passions. It asks you to forgive yourself for past mistakes, to release the burdens you have carried unnecessarily, to embrace the beauty of imperfection. It asks you to trust your intuition, to follow the quiet urgings of your heart, to value your own wisdom above the clamor of unsolicited advice. In this pilgrimage you become your own sanctuary, your own refuge, your own home. And when you reach a place of wholeness, you will discover something remarkable. You will discover that the love you once sought outside yourself has always resided within. You will discover that the joy you longed for does not require external circumstances to exist. You will discover that peace is not a reward to be earned, but a state to be cultivated, moment by moment, breath by breath, choice by choice. And in that discovery you will move through the world differently, not with neediness, not with grasping, not with fear, but with a quiet confidence, a gentle strength, a luminous serenity that others cannot manufacture or take away. Relationships will come, friendships will form, connections will deepen, but they will no longer be lifelines. They will be the embellishments, the music, the dance that celebrates a life already complete. You will bring your fullness to the table, and in doing so, you will invite others to bring theirs. There will be no codependence, no desperate clinging, no hollow compromise of your essence. There will be harmony, mutual respect, and the rare beauty of two whole souls recognizing one another in their authenticity. You must practice patience. You must practice stillness. You must practice the art of showing up for yourself in ways that are consistent, intentional, and tender. It is not enough to simply declare that you are enough. You must live it. You must breathe it. You must act from it. Every choice, every action, every thought must be aligned with the truth that you are complete on your own. This is discipline, but it is a loving discipline. This is freedom, but it is disciplined freedom. This is the way of building a life that is unassailable, unshakable, and radiant in its authenticity. And do not mistake solitude for loneliness. Solitude is sacred. Loneliness is the absence of connection with oneself. When you are in true solitude, you hear the whispers of your own wisdom. You feel the pulse of your own vitality. You become a witness to your own transformation, a steward of your own growth. In solitude, you cultivate patience, resilience, and grace. In solitude, you honor the life that flows through you, the body that carries you, the mind that creates, the spirit that endures. In solitude, you are never truly alone because you have discovered the vastness, the rich, the inexhaustible beauty of your own presence. There will be moments when temptation arises, when the ease of dependence beckons, when the comfort of leaning on another feels irresistible. But remember this: every time you turn outward for validation, you relinquish a piece of your sovereignty. Every time you surrender your power to the judgment of others, you diminish the brilliance of your own light. Build yourself instead. Invest in your growth. Nourish your mind, body, and spirit. Cultivate your talents, pursue your passions, honor your values. The world will shift when you stand firmly in your own presence, when you carry yourself with the quiet dignity of someone who knows that completion comes from within. The journey will not be free of struggle. It will not be free of doubt. There will be days when you question your worth, when you wonder if the effort is worth it, when the silence feels like emptiness. But it is precisely in these moments that your courage is tested, that your resilience is forged, that your spirit is refined. Do not turn away from the challenge. Do not seek to fill the void with temporary comfort. Sit with yourself. Embrace the discomfort. Learn from it. Grow from it. Every challenge is an opportunity to deepen your self-reliance, to strengthen your inner fortitude, to expand the boundaries of your own heart. Stop needing people to feel complete. Build yourself in silence, and in doing so, create a life that cannot be broken, a life that cannot be taken, a life that is yours in its entirety. Love yourself with the depth of oceans, with the breadth of skies, with the constancy of the stars. Honor your being as you would honor the most sacred of temples. Protect your time, your energy, your spirit. Stand tall in the knowledge that you are sufficient, that you are luminous, that you are whole. When you embrace this truth, when you live this truth, the world will reflect it back to you. You will walk differently, speak differently, breathe differently. And those who enter your life will enter it not to complete you, but to celebrate you. You are not a half waiting to be made whole. You are not a fragment seeking restoration. You are a universe, vast, intricate, and magnificent in your entirety. Build yourself. Nurture yourself. Love yourself. In the quiet moments, in the hidden spaces, in the unseen hours, do the work that others cannot see, but that will shape the foundation of everything to come. Your life is your own. Your soul is your own. Your completeness is your own. In the end, it is not the applause of others that will sustain you. It is not the presence of others that will nourish you. It is the quiet, steadfast commitment to your own growth, your own joy, your own truth. It is the relentless dedication to showing up for yourself every day, even when no one is watching, even when no one understands, even when the world urges you to conform. It is the sacred act of becoming the person you were always meant to be. And when you have done this, when you have built yourself in silence, you will know a freedom, a peace, a radiance that no one can take away, a life that is wholly, beautifully, and magnificently your own. Silence is a language that the world rarely teaches, yet it speaks more profoundly than any words ever could. It is in the quiet moments, when the clamor of life fades and the constant demands of others fall away, that we are invited to meet ourselves fully. Too often, we fill our days with noise, chatter, and distractions because the thought of facing our own thoughts feels uncomfortable, even frightening. Yet it is precisely in that discomfort that transformation begins. Silence is not emptiness. It is a space pregnant with possibility, a canvas on which the most authentic version of ourselves can be painted. To listen to oneself is to embark on a journey that is intimate, challenging, and deeply rewarding. When you sit in silence, even for a few moments, you discover layers of your being that have been buried beneath expectations, obligations, and the constant pursuit of approval. The mind, trained to chase and grasp, begins to slow, and the heart begins to speak in a language it has always known. You begin to hear your own desires, unfiltered by the opinions of others. You begin to recognize the truths you have been ignoring, the instincts you have been dismissing, and the dreams that have been quietly waiting for you to pay attention. In the absence of external voices, your own voice emerges, clear, persistent, and profoundly wise. Learning to listen to yourself is an act of courage. It is a refusal to be defined solely by the standards, judgments, and expectations of the world. It is an acknowledgement that your own insight, intuition, and feelings matter just as much as the guidance and opinions of others. When you honor your own thoughts, you begin to cultivate a relationship with yourself that is rooted in trust and respect. You begin to understand that you are not just a collection of habits, roles, and obligations, but a living, breathing soul capable of wisdom, creativity, and profound insight. Silence teaches patience. It teaches the art of waiting without anxiety, of observing without interference, and of understanding without judgment. In silence, you learn that answers do not always come immediately, that clarity is not always instantaneous, and that growth often unfolds slowly, imperceptibly, like a river carving a path through stone. The world, with its relentless pace and endless noise, trains us to demand immediate results, to act without reflection, and to seek validation from outside ourselves. But silence reminds us that true understanding cannot be rushed. It is cultivated, nurtured, and discovered in the stillness of attention, in the quiet willingness to observe and reflect. When you embrace silence as a teacher, you begin to notice the subtle rhythms of your own mind and body. You become attuned to the gentle signals of your intuition, the quiet urgings that guide you toward choices aligned with your true self. You recognize the patterns that have been shaping your life, often unconsciously, and you begin to make decisions with awareness rather than habit. In this way, silence becomes not just a pause from the world, but a guide, a compass that points toward authenticity, integrity, and fulfillment. Listening to yourself also means acknowledging the parts of yourself that you may have neglected or suppressed. It means facing your fears without running, honoring your grief without escaping, and recognizing your desires without guilt. In silence, there is space for the whole spectrum of human experience, the joy, the sorrow, the anger, the love, the longing, the disappointment. By sitting with yourself in quiet reflection, you learn to embrace the totality of who you are, without shame or denial. You discover that even the parts of yourself you have labeled as weaknesses or flaws carry wisdom, strength, and the potential for transformation. Silence is a mirror. When you are willing to look deeply, you see yourself without adornment, without pretense, and without the distractions of comparison. You see the patterns of thought that have guided your actions, the habits that have shaped your life, and the beliefs that have limited your potential. In this reflection, there is both clarity and responsibility. You begin to understand that while the world may influence you, it does not define you, and that the power to shape your life ultimately resides within. There is also a subtle beauty in the intimacy that silence creates. In these moments, you learn to be fully present with yourself, to honor your own company, and to celebrate your own existence. You realize that the approval of others is not necessary to validate your worth, that recognition and praise, while pleasant, are not essential to your completeness. In the quiet, you cultivate self-reliance and self-love, and you discover that the richest and most enduring companionship is the one you offer yourself. Silence also nurtures creativity. The mind, unburdened by the constant noise of external input, begins to explore ideas, imagine possibilities, and conceive solutions that may have been invisible in the chaos of daily life. It is in these quiet moments that the spark of inspiration often ignites, illuminating paths that were previously unseen. By listening to yourself, by honoring your own insights and reflections, you become the architect of your own ideas and the steward of your own imagination. In the practice of listening to yourself, discipline becomes essential. It is not enough to simply seek quiet. You must commit to returning to it, to allowing yourself the time and space to hear your own thoughts, even when they are uncomfortable. You must resist the temptation to fill every moment with noise, distraction, or business. In this discipline, you build resilience, focus, and an unshakable connection to your inner voice. The benefits of learning from silence extend beyond the self. As you grow attuned to your own inner world, you begin to navigate relationships, work, and life with greater clarity, compassion, and authenticity. You act from a place of understanding rather than reaction, from a place of calm rather than anxiety, from a place of alignment rather than confusion. By listening to yourself, you create a foundation of self-awareness that informs every interaction and every decision, allowing you to move through the world with purpose and integrity. Finally, silence is a teacher of humility. It reminds you that there is always more to learn, more to feel, and more to discover within yourself. No matter how much you achieve or how far you grow, the quiet moments of reflection reveal that self-understanding is an ongoing journey, not a destination. By embracing this continuous learning, you cultivate patience, openness, and gratitude for the unfolding of your own life. Learning to listen to yourself is not a one-time act but a lifelong practice. It is an invitation to return again and again to the sacred space within where your thoughts, feelings, and desires are honored. It is a commitment to being present with your own truth, to trusting your own instincts, and to nurturing the wisdom that resides in every beat of your heart. In the embrace of silence, you find your teacher, your guide, and your companion, and you discover the power, clarity, and peace that come from truly listening to yourself. Loneliness is often misunderstood. It is painted as a void, an emptiness to be feared, a shadow to be avoided at all costs. Yet, within the heart of loneliness lies a profound opportunity for transformation. It is in those moments of seeming isolation, when the world falls away and you are left only with yourself, that the most important work can begin. The journey from loneliness to liberation is not a simple path. It is a journey of courage, of introspection, and of radical self-acceptance. It requires a willingness to face the silence, to sit with your own thoughts, and to recognize that true freedom comes not from the presence of others, but from the fullness of your own being. To transform solitude into strength, one must first confront the discomfort of being alone. The mind conditioned to seek constant connection and distraction may resist. It may whisper fears of inadequacy, of rejection, of being unworthy. These voices, though loud in the beginning, are not your truth. They are echoes of expectation, of comparison, of societal definitions that tell you that your value is contingent upon others' attention. In learning to face these fears, to sit with them without judgment or avoidance, you cultivate resilience. You discover that you can endure, you can thrive, and you can flourish even without external affirmation. Solitude is a mirror. In it, you see yourself reflected in a way that the noise of the world never allows. You confront the habits you have formed to seek approval, the patterns that have shaped your choices, and the layers of identity that were adopted to fit into the lives of others. This confrontation can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Without it, liberation cannot occur. By acknowledging these patterns and beginning to understand their influence, you reclaim the power that has been unconsciously surrendered. You begin to see that the capacity for strength, joy, and fulfillment has always resided within you, waiting to be recognized and nurtured. The transformation from loneliness to liberation also requires self-compassion. Too often, we interpret solitude as a punishment or a failure. We shame ourselves for feeling alone, as if the presence of others is the only measure of worth. Yet in reality, solitude is an invitation, a call to honor your own existence, to nurture your own spirit, and to cultivate a relationship with yourself that is steadfast and loving. Self-compassion allows you to embrace your imperfections, to forgive your past mistakes, and to see your own potential without criticism or fear. It is through this kindness to oneself that true strength emerges, a strength that is rooted not in dominance or control, but in understanding, patience, and grace. Loneliness is also a teacher of creativity. When you are alone without distraction, your mind has the space to explore ideas that may have been drowned out by the noise of others. Imagination flourishes in solitude. Dreams that have been ignored or postponed find room to breathe. Perspectives that were once narrow expand. In the quiet, you begin to notice patterns, solutions, and possibilities that were invisible in the constant company of others. Solitude allows you to reclaim your creative power, to discover your unique voice, and to contribute something authentic to the world that could only have been born from your own reflection. Liberation from loneliness is not about avoiding connection, but about redefining it. It is about recognizing that the presence of others is not necessary to complete you. Relationships, friendships, and bonds are enhancements, not dependencies. When you cultivate strength within, you enter into connections from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. You give freely because you are abundant, not because you are lacking. You listen deeply, love fully, and engage authentically because your actions are a reflection of choice, not desperation. This shift transforms the way you move through the world and the way the world responds to you. The path from loneliness to liberation also requires reflection on your values and priorities. In solitude, you have the opportunity to consider what truly matters to you, independent of external influence. You learn to identify what aligns with your principles and what does not. You begin to see which relationships nurture your growth and which diminish your spirit. You gain clarity about the life you wish to create, the work you wish to pursue, and the person you wish to become. This clarity, born in moments of quiet, becomes a compass guiding your decisions and actions, helping you to move with intention and integrity. Transformation in solitude also teaches discipline. It requires the practice of showing up for yourself consistently, even when the temptation to seek comfort elsewhere is strong. It demands patience as you navigate the ebb and flow of emotions that arise when you are alone. It asks for persistence in the cultivation of self-awareness, self-reliance, and inner strength. Each moment spent in conscious solitude is a building block, laying the foundation of a life that is resilient, self-sufficient, and empowered. The journey also deepens your understanding of human connection. As you learn to be fully present with yourself, you begin to appreciate the depth and quality of interactions with others. You recognize that meaningful connection comes not from proximity or frequency, but from authenticity and intention. You become attuned to the energy of those around you, understanding which interactions are nourishing and which are draining. This discernment allows you to cultivate relationships that are enriching and mutually supportive, further reinforcing the strength and liberation you have developed within. Embracing solitude also provides a profound sense of freedom. You are no longer bound by the expectations, judgments, or approval of others. You act from your own insight, guided by your own truth. Decisions are made with clarity, free from the weight of comparison or fear of rejection. In this freedom, you discover a joy that is unshakable, a serenity that is unbounded, and a confidence that is rooted in the knowledge of your own sufficiency. The liberation you achieve is not temporary or dependent on circumstance. It is a state of being cultivated through practice, awareness, and self-respect. Solitude, when embraced fully, transforms the very way you perceive yourself. You learn that your worth is intrinsic, not contingent upon validation or attention. You recognize that your presence in the world, your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions have value simply because they exist. This understanding dissolves the fear of being alone and replaces it with the courage to stand fully in your own light. You realize that the richness of life is not measured by the company you keep, but by the depth of your connection with yourself. In solitude, you also cultivate gratitude. You begin to appreciate the simple joys that might otherwise go unnoticed: the rhythm of your breath, the warmth of sunlight, the quiet hum of life unfolding around you. You notice the beauty in ordinary moments and recognize that contentment is not something to be sought externally, but something that grows from within. Gratitude reinforces the sense of liberation, reminding you that being alone does not equate to emptiness, but is instead a fertile space for growth, insight, and joy. Through solitude, your resilience deepens. You discover that you can navigate challenges without relying on constant support, that you can face adversity with courage and clarity, and that your strength is not dependent on external factors. Each moment of stillness, reflection, and self-reliance strengthens the foundation of your being, preparing you to meet life's trials with grace and confidence. The more you embrace solitude, the more you realize that your capacity to endure, to create, and to thrive is limitless. The journey from loneliness to liberation is ultimately a journey towards self-mastery. It is the realization that the world need not dictate your happiness, that no one can complete you but yourself, and that the power to shape your experience of life resides within. In solitude, you become the architect of your own destiny, the guardian of your own spirit, and the witness to your own growth. You learn to celebrate your own company, to trust your own instincts, and to honor the life that flows through you. To become your own sanctuary is to make a conscious choice, a declaration that your soul, your mind, and your heart deserve protection, reverence, and care. In a world that constantly demands attention, obedience, and energy, the act of turning inward is not only radical, it is revolutionary. It is the decision to treat yourself not as a resource to be spent, not as a tool for the satisfaction of others, but as a sacred space, a temple in which your essence can flourish undisturbed. To nurture yourself is to honor the life that pulses through you, to recognize the depth of your emotions, the power of your thoughts, and the vast potential of your being. In this sanctuary, you learn that your worth is inherent, not conditional, and that your spirit, once tended with care, becomes resilient, luminous, and unshakable. Creating a sanctuary within requires vigilance. It requires an awareness of the energies you allow into your life, the words you internalize, and the boundaries you establish. There is power in discerning what nourishes the soul and what diminishes it. Too often, people allow negativity, judgment, and toxic influences to seep into the sacred spaces of their hearts, eroding confidence, silencing intuition, and clouding the clarity of self-perception. But when you commit to becoming your own sanctuary, you begin to cultivate discernment, learning to recognize which relationships, environments, and experiences align with the growth, peace, and vitality of your spirit. You begin to say no without guilt, to step back without fear, and to protect your inner life as fiercely as you would protect a cherished treasure. Nurturing your soul also requires gentleness. Protection is not only about erecting walls, it is about creating a space in which tenderness, reflection, and healing are allowed to flourish. It is about listening to the whispers of your heart, attending to the aches and longings that surface in quiet moments, and responding with compassion rather than judgment. Your inner sanctuary is a place where vulnerability is honored as strength, where mistakes are met with understanding rather than condemnation, and where every emotion is allowed to be felt fully, not suppressed or ignored. In cultivating this environment of care, you train yourself to recognize that your spirit deserves the same love and attention that you so often extend to others. To become your own sanctuary is to cultivate presence. It is to exist fully in each moment, aware of the sensations, thoughts, and feelings that arise without being swept away by them. The world often encourages distraction, urging you to focus on the past with regret or the future with anxiety. But presence allows you to root yourself in the here and now, to experience life as it unfolds, and to recognize that your inner stability does not require external conditions to exist. In these moments of presence, your sanctuary becomes a refuge, a place of calm clarity, and connection with the essence of who you are. Discipline and consistency are central to sustaining this sanctuary. It is not enough to retreat into protection when the world feels overwhelming. You must practice regularly, cultivating habits and rituals that reinforce the sanctity of your inner life. This may include moments of meditation, reflection, journaling, or simply quiet solitude. It may involve honoring your body through nourishment, movement, and rest, recognizing that the physical vessel of your soul is integral to its well-being. It may mean creating boundaries in relationships, conversations, and commitments, ensuring that your energy is invested wisely and that your peace is maintained. Each of these practices strengthens the walls and foundations of your sanctuary, making it a reliable and enduring source of refuge. Becoming your own sanctuary also requires courage. It is a challenge to resist the pressure to conform, to overextend yourself, or to sacrifice your needs for the comfort of others. The courage to prioritize your own well-being in a culture that often prizes self-neglect is a radical act of self-respect. You may face criticism, misunderstanding, or even rejection from those who do not comprehend the depth of your commitment. Yet, standing firm in the sanctity of your inner life is an affirmation of your right to exist fully and authentically. It is a testament to the understanding that you cannot pour from an empty vessel, and that the care of your own spirit is foundational to every aspect of your life. In your sanctuary, creativity and imagination can flourish. Free from the noise and expectations of the outside world, your mind can wander, explore, and invent. You begin to hear the subtler voices of inspiration, intuition, and insight, voices that often go unnoticed amidst the clamor of obligation and distraction. These voices guide your decisions, shape your dreams, and illuminate the paths that align with your true self. In nurturing your inner sanctuary, you allow these gifts to emerge unimpeded, creating a life that reflects not the demands of others, but the deepest yearnings of your own soul. The act of protecting your soul is deeply intertwined with emotional intelligence. By becoming attuned to your feelings, recognizing what triggers unrest, and understanding what fosters peace, you create a system of self-care that responds to your needs rather than reacting to external pressures. You learn to navigate challenges without compromising your essence, to engage with conflict without sacrificing integrity, and to approach others with compassion while maintaining your boundaries. Emotional self-mastery strengthens the walls of your sanctuary, ensuring that it remains a place of stability, insight, and clarity even amidst the turbulence of life. To nurture your soul also requires forgiveness of yourself and of others. Holding on to resentment, anger, or regret is like allowing toxins into the sacred space of your inner life. In choosing forgiveness, you release the weight that diminishes your vitality. You create room for peace, growth, and resilience. Forgiveness does not mean condoning harm or forgetting lessons. It means reclaiming your energy, your clarity, and your power. By practicing forgiveness, you reinforce the integrity of your sanctuary, ensuring that it remains a place of healing, not heaviness. Becoming your own sanctuary involves the cultivation of gratitude. In recognizing the blessings, the gifts, and the moments of beauty that exist in your life, you create an environment of abundance within your spirit. Gratitude nurtures joy, strengthens resilience, and enhances perspective. It allows you to approach challenges with clarity, to see opportunities where others see obstacles, and to cultivate a sense of fulfillment that is independent of external circumstances. A grateful heart strengthens the foundations of your sanctuary, ensuring that it is not only protected but enriched, vibrant, and thriving. The practice of reflection is central to maintaining this sanctuary. By taking time to consider your experiences, choices, and intentions, You gain insight into the trajectory of your life and the alignment of your actions with your values. Reflection allows you to course correct, to celebrate growth, and to learn from moments of difficulty. It ensures that your sanctuary is not static but dynamic, evolving with you, and adapting to the unfolding of your life. This continuous attention to self-awareness is the mortar that binds the stones of your inner fortress, creating strength, resilience, and clarity. Your sanctuary is also a space for hope and vision. In it you can dream without fear, plan without constraint, and imagine without judgment. You recognize that your potential is not limited by circumstance, opinion, or past experience, but is as vast and expansive as your willingness to embrace it. The inner sanctuary nurtures courage, allowing you to take steps toward your aspirations with confidence, clarity, and commitment. It is a place where the seeds of your future can be planted, tended, and nurtured until they bear fruit, a testament to the care and attention you have given your own spirit. Spiritual connection, in whatever form it takes for you, can also be cultivated within your sanctuary. Whether through meditation, prayer, contemplation, or communion with nature, the inner space allows for a deep attunement to forces greater than oneself. This connection nurtures humility, perspective, and a sense of belonging to something larger than the individual self. It strengthens the foundation of your sanctuary, reminding you that you are both distinct and interconnected, a unique expression of life within the vastness of existence. To be your own sanctuary is to live intentionally. It is to recognize that every thought, word, and action contributes to the environment of your inner life. It is to choose what enters your mind and heart with care, to cultivate relationships and experiences that uplift and inspire, and to discard those that drain or diminish. Intentional living ensures that your sanctuary remains a source of strength, clarity, and peace, a place where your soul is honored, your mind is clear, and your heart is whole. In protecting and nurturing your soul, you also influence the world around you. Others are drawn to the stability, clarity, and peace you cultivate within. Your presence becomes a beacon, your actions reflect integrity, and your words carry wisdom. By becoming your own sanctuary, you create a ripple effect of strength, compassion, and resilience that touches every relationship and every environment you inhabit. The journey to becoming your own sanctuary is ongoing. It requires vigilance, compassion, reflection, and courage. Each day you have the opportunity to return to this sacred space, to tend to your spirit, to reinforce your boundaries, and to nurture the gifts that reside within. This commitment, though challenging at times, is transformative. It shapes the way you move through the world, the way you engage with others, and the way you experience life itself.